Day after day, one after another, the pictures on the page from every corner of the Emerald City paint a picture of rot and filth that is being allowed to fester on the streets and in the lots and under the overpasses of a once proud city.
It looks like a third world. It looks, junkyardish. I'm not heartless, but I don't see that what we're doing now is helping anybody, and it hasn't gotten better.
Seattle police are afraid to speak out. For 2 years, we've tried to get cops to talk about what they see every day, about what's really happening on the streets and behind the scenes. More than once, the word terrified was used. Cops are terrified of losing their jobs and pensions, terrified of retaliation. And so we put out some generic questionnaires, which were filled out by completely anonymous police officers. Their responses are eye-opening, frightening, and at times sad. One officer wrote simply, "Yes, I am frustrated because I'm a law enforcement officer that is told not to enforce the law." Another wrote, "It's simple. Start keeping criminals in jail. Judges need to stop giving them ridiculously low sentences, and prosecutors need to stop accepting cheesy plea deals and actually lock people up when they commit a crime. That's all it would take to drastically lower Seattle's crime rate." Another officer said, "People come here because it's called Free-addle, and they believe if they come here they will get free food, free medical treatment, free mental health treatment, a free tent, free clothes, and will be free of prosecution for just about everything." And they're right. It didn't used to be that way. Law enforcement officers used to be able to enforce the laws. This officer continues, "In the last 5 years, there has been a culture shift, and it started with the legislature decriminalizing felonies and dumping convicts onto the streets." And then there is this. An officer says, "Even if quality warrant arrests are made, the judicial system sees fit to let them out of jail within a couple of days, often the next day. Why are we risking our lives to take felony-level fugitives into custody if they're just going to be released?" Prosecutor's office and judges alike seem to be drinking all the Kool-Aid, causing a huge disconnect and a broken system with absolutely no teeth. There was a police officer named Todd Wiebke. He prided himself on getting his boots dirty, on meeting the people on the fringes, in the camps. He tried to find common ground as human beings, and he tried to police. He wrote a blog for a long time, first-person musings about patrolling what happens in the dark shadows of West Seattle. Not long ago, he wrote this. "This week I dealt with crisis, with narcotics, with heartache, and with liars. Sometimes all at once, sometimes one at a time. I am helpless to unlock the doors when dealing with a person trapped in a horror inside of their own mind. Lord, I try, but I am a limited man with just a little skill. I still love coming to work. We have an awesome city with the ability to adapt and overcome. The only way to lose is to not try. We are trying to solve this crisis, and we will not lose." And then one day this past October, Todd Wiebke was told by one superior to impound an RV and clean up the spot. And when he did it, another superior scolded him for doing so because of new protocol. He had a bellyful, and he walked into HR, and he quit. Retired, just like that.
I feel like I abandoned the ship, that I walked away, and I did, because I couldn't do it anymore. It was just, the bureaucracy built up to the point where I felt like I was no longer necessary as a police officer, that the system had a different idea of how they wanted to handle it, and I was an appendix. I needed to be gone, so I'm gone.
Ask anyone. They'll tell you this was a good cop, the kind we want out there, the kind we need.
But I will tell you that there is no morale. There's a love for the job.
He says the drugs, the camps, the theft, the rot, and the disgrace of it all don't have to destroy Seattle. They're being allowed to.
Everybody's trying to do the right thing. It's just coming out wrong.
Listen to these next words carefully. Let them sink in.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that the only thing I can equate it to is we're running a concentration camp without barbed wire, up to and including the medical experiment of poisoning these people with drugs. I don't know how else to put it, and it's infuriating. Every camp I walked into, there was a weapon, multiple weapons. I found modified weapons. I was constantly on the side of the road talking to people that were swinging machetes, holding an axe, armed with knives. Our city has even gone so far as to say, well, this much of narcotics on your person's okay.
3 grams.
Yeah, hey, that's okay. So that's user quantity. So, when you start, that process and people feel secure and okay having their drugs on them, what's to stop them from doing it? How do you, now you're pretty much okaying narcotics, and the same officers that used to go out there and arrest them are now rendered impotent and can't do anything about it. And it's just a matter of political will on the part of our city to go out there and say, hey, you can't park your motorhome in this driveway with no engine in it, with all this filth around it. You can't do it. It's wrong. And stop them.